You're tuned into NAC Car Culture, your home of tough muscle cars, classic cruisers and high-performance imports. Proudly brought to you by NAC Insurance, specialists in modified and high-performance cars. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. And Teng Tools. Get organised. Coming up in this week's episode, we hit the road in Tony Hill's ultra-rare Mazda GTAE, one of just 300 made. We get up to speed on the AP4 rally platform at Auckland's Force Motorsport and drop in for tech tips at Triple T Auto Engineering. But before all that, it's time to head to the hut for Cam County's Port Road Street Drags.
It's the 50th anniversary of the Port Road Street Drags, which is the longest running drag meeting in the Southern Hemisphere as far as we're aware. So it's a big day for us.
I don't think there's anything ever around that's been run for 50 years as long as this sort of event anyway. Got some dedicated people out there and some real cool cars that just want to race here.
Yep, 50 years, a massive achievement. It might have been brought to life way back in 1966 by the Hutt Valley Motoring Club, but the idea is the same today. The top priority? Having a bit of fun.
It's just a good bunch of guys and it's heads up racing. No lose or return. You don't win, you don't carry on.
There's always a little bit of rivalry going on there, and if you win, you win. If you don't, well, you suck it and come back next time.
No one's really worried about the best times or traction or whatever. I mean, yeah, they just have a good time, and, you know, it's always only going to be one winner in each bracket, doesn't matter what track you're on. So, yeah, it's just, you know, good fun.
As you'd expect, there's been a few updates over those 5 decades too. For starters, the cars now run in the opposite direction. Those cars also run a whole lot quicker.
If the cars go any faster than 6.5 seconds, they're breaking the rules. You've got to draw a line somewhere, and it's basically safety first, you know. It is a street, it's not a proper drag strip. You've seen it, there is a corner to go around. They've got to be able to know how to drive their car, and most of these guys do, and they all realise one major stuff up where you can lose this event. So it's safety paramount. They get in there, they all know, they all get briefed, and it all works well, as you can see.
Lower Hutt's Port Road delivers regular traffic for 364 days of the year, so there's no full track prep here, although some track bite is laid down to aid with launching. Even still, the street surface does provide some interesting moments when trying to force a lot of horsepower to the ground, as does the corner just past the finish line. On days like this one, Wellington's fierce gale force winds also factor.
Oh, it's good fun. This track's pretty good. It's pretty flat. It's you know, some of the street circuits that I've raced on in the country over the years, there's only the Wanganui drags left going now, but some of them were a bit challenging. This one's pretty good. It's wide. We've got a good wide road. We've got a lot of runoff.
It's not too bad with the middle range horsepower cars, say 600-700 horsepower cars, but when you're getting up something like that thing's pumping over 1,000, you got to take it a bit more cautious. It's a driver's event. You know, you could have 2,000 horsepower get beaten by 500 horsepower. You know, you've got to drive. You've got to know your car. You've got to drive the car.
A handful of comp cars were there to lay down a few exhibition passes, many featuring more noise and smoke than outright speed. But as far as the official competition goes, the Port Road Street Drags is for street cars.
Got to be street legal to be running in it. They've got to be registered and warranted. We've got cars from Christchurch, we've got cars from Auckland. Fair few of the guys are down from Wanganui, Harawa, all over the place. So not just because it's the 50th anniversary, but we always get a good turnout. We always have a full field here, and today we run extra cars knowing that being the 50th anniversary, a lot of people want to be involved. So we're running an 80-car field today.
Up from Christchurch and at the pointy end of the pack was Dan Southall in his Pro-Charged small block Camaro. The car ran an 8.9 second quarter right off the trailer at its last outing, so Dan's journey north wasn't going to be deterred by Mother Nature, be it a very dodgy forecast, high winds, or worse.
And there was no way I was going to miss the 50th. Earthquake or not, I was up here. We've changed the diff gears, we've put a Mark Mackie converter in it as well, because we're getting on the red line, 3/4 track, 8,000 revs. So we're hoping it'll drop it. Or hopefully. In theory it will, but who knows? The first couple of runs you've got to read the road. Basically you've got to go out there, give it a fair bit of gas and just see how the car's going to react, you know. On a good day, Port Road's a pretty good track, you know. You can lift the wheels and get out the hole pretty quick, but like a day like today, you'll be just plat by ear.
Running with the comp cars was this year's Port Road Drag's poster car, the Y-Block T, originally built and raced by the late Colin Shady Lane, one of the event's founding races 50 years ago. Its historical significance far from lost on one of the car's 3 new owners, Scott Campbell.
Shady raced it here in '69, and we've only had it a couple of years, but we came down last year for the first time, broke the diff and said we'd come back, so thought we'd make the effort. It's a 292, like a Y-block Ford engine. Shady originally with that same body had a flathead Ford V8 in the first car that he built, but then he went to the Y-block, and it's been in there since '69. So it's all right on a smooth track or whatever, but we have raced it on the dirt once last year, and any part of the pit area where it's real bumpy, it's quite a hard ride because there's no suspension in the rear. But on the road or the track or whatever, it's fine. But no, it goes straight. It's easy to drive. Yeah, it's good. It's like any nostalgia thing. I mean, it seems to be getting bigger and bigger worldwide. So it's just good to have the old stuff out and let people see it. And as I say, you meet a lot of people that, oh yeah, I was here when he first raced it, and so yeah, it's always la la.
A car bolted together to look a bit older than its build date was Glenn Munro's recent acquisition, this Gasser-style 55.
Well, 1955 Chevy Bel Air, converted to a Gasser. 454, 30,000, so it's 460. For me, it was just something a bit different, a bit out there.
The Gasser stance was an early means of getting weight to the rear end, but despite the nosebleed altitude up front, this 55 is all street legal.
I've never been pulled over, but then I'm not stupid because I've got plenty of time to play on the track and events like this, and that's what it's about, really.
It's a 1951 Ford Custom. I've had parts of it since I was about 17 years old. It's got a 460 big block in it, 6-inch chop, major 2-door. That's about it. Yeah, I like 1950s hot rodding and drag racing, and that's where it all started, so try and combine both things in one car. 520 horses, I guess. Yeah, it goes along okay. Just about kind of best of 11.9 and a quarter. Just fun, not that serious. Can't afford to be serious. You just race what you've got.
Another car styled to suit the occasion was Trevor's Heat Seeker Coronet, joining fellow Gear Jammers club member Mark in the chopped shoebox.
It's a 1965 Dodge Coronet. It's running a 451 Chrysler big block, 550 horsepower. I just like my car. I've got the 65 Dodge there, and I've got an old Dodge pickup, which has been set up as a good tow truck. So the two of them go really well together.
And Trevor was out to make most of the occasion, but was keeping his ambitions firmly in check.
A win would be good. But yeah, it's the luck of the draw, really, at the end of the day when you get into your classes and you go up against another car. What happens, happens.
Darren Ritchies took out the Class 1 honours, running a best ET of 6.59 in his big block Ford Pop, while the quickest pass of the day went to another Pop, Aaron Thomas's twin-turbo weapon posting a 6.52. Down Southall couldn't quite get all that horsepower to the ground, but took out best burnout for his troubles. And with that, the Port Road Drags chalked up the big 5-0 with a lot of wind, but amazingly no rain. The long-running street race, a huge achievement at this time of rules and red tape.
We're lucky you've got the Hutt City Council and a lot of sponsors on board, and they want this event here. They don't want it to go. They want it to run another 50 years because we do it well, and we haven't had any rain for that long. It's never been rained out. Had some ugly days, but never been rained out.
Still to come on NAC Car Culture, Tony Hill's 1 in 300 Mazda GT-AE. We talk tech at Triple T and drop in on gravel specialists Force Motorsport. You're back with NAC Car Culture, Kindly brought to you by the good people at NAC Insurance, Teng Tools and Mount Shop. We've got Tony's ultra-rare GTAE coming up in just a few minutes, but first, we stop in at Triple T Auto Engineering for this week's NAC Tech Tip.
If you're ever looking at getting any custom pipework done, don't live by bigger is always better. Really common mistake that we all make. We see the big power cars out there, we all want the big turbos, big runners, big cooler pipes. If you've got a small little 1600 or something, you don't go put a 3-inch exhaust on it. It might sound good, but it definitely won't go good. Look at some of the top-end cars, WRC, Formula One. WRC cars restricted 299 horsepower, unlimited torque, and their piping and turbos is really small. It always amazes people, and that just shows that generally the community has just gone for bigger is always better. Just try and hold back a little bit and make your own decisions rather than just following current trends. Weight is obviously a huge decision. If you're hanging a turbo off the manifold like this one, we usually use mild steel or stainless steam pipe, nice thick wall, won't require any bracing, it'll never crack. Whereas on a naturally aspirated car, we'll go for thin wall, long runners, lightweight. Only want what you really need. Don't go overboard and end up carrying around extra weight. Just remember, if you're ever getting any pipe work done, research is the first thing. Just select what you want to do with the car and make sure that the pipe work's done in such a way that suits the final application.
Cheers, Tim. Right, thanks to the good folk at Teng Tools, it's time to drop in on another workshop. This week, it's Force Motorsport, fabricating rally weapons out of South Auckland.
It was a bit of an accident, to be honest. I've been involved in motorsport for 20, 25 years, I guess, and we've always had a race shop for the last 22 years. A one-man band, really, with one mechanic and just working on my cars, and slowly we started working on other people's cars, and the AP4 concept came along, and yeah, it's really taken off from there. We've gone from a staff of 1 to a staff of 5,
So the principle behind the AP4 car is to have a standardised running gear suspension package for any manufacturer. So it can go across a broad range of vehicles targeted at the small car market. So your Mazda 2s, your Hyundai i20, your Holden Barinas, and it's about keeping a lightweight chassis and having a common platform between multiple manufacturers. So therefore, from a manufacturing point of view, you can get on board with your vehicle or your manufacturer and still know that you've got a competitive platform and a standardised class.
In most cars these days are front-wheel drive, so it's starting with a front-wheel drive body shell and adding the points for our subframes, which in turn into a four-wheel drive car. Some of the cars need quite a bit of work in the wheel tubs. Yeah, it's basically a wheeled rally car built down here in New Zealand. It's quite a good thing.
The cars turn up looking much like any other you'd see on the road. But that doesn't last too long here, and over the course of 1,200 hours, they evolve into something like this.
Well, basically it's a AP4 rally car eligible for the New Zealand Championship. Currently it has an 1800cc Duratec engine in it, Ford Mazda Duratec. It's about 350 horsepower and about 500 newton meters of torque. Four-wheel drive, it has a little bit of aerodynamics, and it's very, very quick on gravel. They had to be reliable, they had to be strong, obviously be able to take a hit. There's no point building a car that you can't drive into the side of a bridge or something like that, and I have a reasonably good chance of carrying on with. They had to look good and had to sound good, so we had a fairly blank sheet of paper, but there was just a few things at the top and we just basically went from there.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of hours. You're talking about 350 hours into a chassis. That's just purely the fabrication of the shell pre-paint. So from there, you've still got a huge amount of labour in terms of the building the subframes, all the componentry that is machined and manufactured off-site and then brought to us to finally assemble.
By the time you fit the engine, exhaust, the interior, you're looking at about 1,200 hours is what we bank on to build a car from scratch.
Yeah, the spec of the car, it's very, very different from a road car, and a lot of people probably don't realise the huge amount of labour that goes into it and the varying components. Basically, the whole entire car fundamentally changes, although it still retains the perception of a factory road car.
AP4 concept aside, another aspect the Force Motorsport crew take a great deal of pride in is the amount of development and fabrication done right here in New Zealand. The Kiwi can-do attitude is alive and well, with very little outsourcing required. and there's still room to push that further down the track.
All the componentry we run in these vehicles is either made in-house or it's a combination of using our machine shop and getting the components machined and then us doing the final assembly. So you're talking basically every component from the platform of the chassis underneath is manufactured either nearby, locally, or within house.
Unfortunately, there's not a gearbox manufacturer in New Zealand. All the gearboxes come from France. We're currently using Sadev gearboxes. It's something that that we'd dearly like to look at, but we've got enough on our plate at the moment for sure.
It's been a busy year for Force Motorsport. Now with a brand new workshop, 2017 is shaping up much the same.
Despite what people think and the glory of working on this sort of vehicle or being involved in this sort of project, it is very taxing. It's been a big year, but it's a passion, and it's being surrounded by those driven people that just want to make this project move forward.
For your chance to win a Tang Tools Top Toolbox worth $359, simply head over to themotorhood.com. We'll be giving away one every week for 10 weeks. As an extra bonus, you will also receive a 7-piece screwdriver set to help you on your way to build your own toolkit. Get organised with Tang Tools. Okay, time now to check out this week's Mount Shop feature car. Meet Tony Hill's GTAE. With only 300 produced, the factory hot hatch is a rare beast indeed, but so too is the platform this special model is based on. Mazda's once common familiar is now also a sight seldom seen on New Zealand's roads.
Yeah, they're very, very rare now. It's like most of them ended up in the scrapyard. I think once everyone sort of cottoned on to, the gearboxes were jelly, they really fell off the radar for a lot of people. Guys like myself and a few of my friends are just kind of stuck on them, just love them. I can't get past them, I just continue to pursue them. And it's like a love-hate relationship now. Like I love to hate them, and they probably love to hate me too. Well, probably about 8 years ago, I saw it on Trade Me. I wasn't, at that time, I wasn't all that particularly interested in that model familiar. I was more about the earlier, more boxy stuff, the 86 to 88 versions. This one popped up, and I think just the fact that it was a GTAE it really stood out to me. I was like, wow. I was like, I haven't seen one of those ever. I never knew they existed until that point. Yeah, they made 300 of this specific model, so that was basically just for homogenation, for rallying. So they needed to make the X amount to get them through, and they were basically an out-of-the-box rally car that you could purchase. It had fallen off a trailer at one time in its life and was pretty banged up on a chassis rail, and no one would touch it. It would have been advertised for a long time, and the price just kept getting lower and lower, and just became more attractive the lower the cost got. I just said to him, can we get it checked? If the repair is good, I was like, I'll happily buy it off you. And fortunately, it was really good. I bought it and drove it home. It went really good when I got it, and then I had, I guess, a brainstorm to get more power out of it. So I wound the boost up, and it crapped itself. It absolutely crapped itself. I was disheartened by it for a little bit, and it sat in the garage for a year, and then just gradually sort of crept back into my consciousness, like, I should get it going, And then I thought, I'll update the turbo and put a new manifold and so forth on it, and it really snowballed from there.
The overhaul was underway, and Tony went off in search of a replacement 1800, which was treated to forged pistons and rods, while the ported head hosts a pair of lumpy Kelford camshafts. A Garrett GT 3040 turbo is kept in check by a teal wastegate and blow-off valve. The result? 273 kilowatts at 18 psi in the hands of Jackie from J-Tune.
And I was like, wow, I'm going to put the 85 in it and see how much it can push. And then, sanity prevailed. Following few months, it's probably not the smartest idea. It'll probably break something, and then it'll sit idle again for a while, and won't use it and won't enjoy it.
Number one on the list of breakables, Mazda's factory box. Tony researched the option of adapting a Toyota GT4 gearbox to the Mazda 1800, but given the GTAE's extremely limited numbers, the call was made to stay true to the car's factory spec, faults and all.
It kind of dawned on me, I guess the rarity of the car. I didn't want to go away too much from what Mazda had done, so I backed off from that and just left it as it was, and what we could do we changed. We strengthened the gearbox. I guess your essential things like the heart and driveline I wanted to leave Mazda.
One of the deviations from factory is a subtle one, with the GT refinishes applied gunmetal grey, updating Mazda's black or white only option. But again, even that wasn't all smooth sailing.
It was more work than initially thought. Is me not being a panel beater, I said, yeah, it's good, man. Body looks great, And then when they got a hold of it and they pulled it all down, I guess, yeah, it's not that good. They had a few dodgy repairs in the back and a bit of rust as well, which they sorted out really well and really quickly. I'm ecstatic by how it turned out, and just the response as well, I guess maybe it's the rarity factor of them. It was really well received by a lot of people. It's hard to explain, really. I can't get my tongue around it. It just turned out better than I thought, and I absolutely love it.
Want to see more cars in action like this? Jump onto themotorhood.com now and sign up for our totally free digital magazine. It's packed with the best bits from New Zealand Performance Car, NZV8 and New Zealand Classic Car magazines. Simply enter your email address and you'll get it direct to your inbox. Easy. That's us for this episode of NAC Car Culture. Coming up next week, cars and bikes from all corners combined at Hamilton's Culture Car Meet. Steve Anson's super clean LJ Tirana and the art of building vintage wheels in North Canterbury. See you then. NAC Car Culture was proudly brought to you by NAC Insurance, specialists in modified and high-performance cars, Mount Shop, undercar specialists, and Teng Tools. Get organised.